Oh yeah, the psychiatrist, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny that the first time you seeing the movie and me seeing the movie, kind of like the same circumstances with our grandmothers.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the shower scene? I think it works well even now, especially with the music, but it's so like a kind of confusing, like almost like makes you dizzy because there's so many like editing points and transitions in that like few, what is it, like a minute or so.
I think, like, do you think he did that on purpose to make you feel like she was like discombobulated and confused, like what the hell is going on?
Maybe. Yeah.
But no, that shower scene, like, honestly, like, even when I'm taking a shower now, like, I'm kind of like, if there's like a shower curtain like that, it's kind of like you see something out of the corner of your eye and you like turn around like, this is going to be my psycho moment or something like that. But no, that shower scene scared the shit out of me when I was 10 or 11, and still, it's like you said, it works so well even today. And I like how that scene especially, but like throughout the movie, and throughout all his movies, like Hitchcock isn't afraid to let the score and the music like take center stage, and I think that's why that scene is obviously so iconic and it works so well, is because of that.
Yeah, it's the same. Like if you were to put it, like if you play that scene and you put it on mute, it doesn't work the same without those crazy strings. And it's the same for Carpenter's Halloween, like with Michael Myers. I think he even said this in a documentary that I watched, where Carpenter said he showed a rough cut of Halloween without his music spliced in, and that they laughed at him and said that the movie was like ridiculous and horrible, and then he came back with the cut with like his music in, and they were like, holy shit, like this is scary, so
yeah,
it's insane to me that music, and it makes sense though, but music really can play a key whether or not your project will succeed or not,
Yeah.
It's also if you watch, you don't actually see any like real stabs, which I always find intriguing. Is like all the cuts and everything is like you're not really seeing any like knife, like the butcher knife going into her skin. You see some, I guess, some scratches, some blood running down when they do like a shot of her feet in the tub, and I feel like that's why when the strings are going the iconic stuff, it's kind of like symbolizing the blade going inside. So you're supposed to, as opposed to like seeing everything and having like the gore there, you're visualizing it inside your head, what's happening, which is always, I feel like it can be more frightening than actually seeing it on screen, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, definitely. On my rewatch, I rewatched it earlier today, and going back to like the whole, like, I think he did it like that to make you feel like how she felt.
Yeah.
Even like you're even kind of confused because like rewatching it, you're kind of confused, and like when you see his shadow in the shower curtain, you think it's gonna be Norman there, and then it pulls back. You see the knife and the different cuts, and then you see it's not Norman, and then you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then you're seeing all these different shots and the music, and so even that is kind of like you're just confused the whole time and scared. But yeah, no, that scene is top tier.
Especially because of course, they make it a point to you see like the nightgown and like the long hair that's pulled back into like a bun, so you're like, okay, this is his mother, you know.
Yeah.
And so you kind of run with that, and then they're always talking about the mother from that point on, because when the detective comes down and he talks to Norman, Norman ends up slipping up, and he says something like, "Oh yeah," like the detective figures out that Marianne had been staying there under some alias, and then Norman's kind of duck him so that he'll leave, and you know, he slips up. Norman slips up, and he's like, "Oh yeah."
I think the detective tells him like, I don't know the like the exact lines, but it's kind of like Norman tells him like, no, she didn't fool me. She fooled me, but she didn't fool Mother.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then that's where that scene goes. And then he's like, your mother.
He was like, I thought you lived here alone. And he's like,
Yeah.
Oh well, my mother's an invalid, which pretty much means that like I live alone. And then he's like, well, he starts pressing the issue, like, well, can I just like speak with her real quick? Maybe she can answer some questions that can help us. And of course, he's really not into that idea, and he basically says like, if you want to do anything like that, you need a warrant, or you got to leave now. You know, and then of course, and that leads us into our second murder, because the detective starts figuring out that something's not right, and then he ends up calling Marian's sister Lila and tips her off like, hey, you know, your sister was at this motel. I think like, you know, there's this guy Norman, and I think like his mother might have some information that could help us with this case. And so he ends up going back to the motel and kind of sneaks into the back house, Norman's house, and at this point we don't know where Norman's at. And then when he gets up to the top of the staircase, he gets he brutally ambushed by Mother or Norman.
I read somewhere where I guess that scene is edited, where like he was like in the director's cut, there's a couple more stabs in it that Hitchcock had to take out so the ratings board could like approve it.
Really?
That was one of the things. Yeah, like I think he only gets stabbed twice, and there was like 4 or 5 stabs. Even
when those stabs they're strange how they're executed. Like he gets sliced, and then his like eye is slashed, and then there's like 1 or 2 more stabs, and then he falls back. But then they clearly like edited the fall,
and he kind of tumbles down the stairs.
Yeah, but it looks like he's in I would assume maybe like some kind of green screen behind him. So he's just pretending to fall down the stairs
yeah.
instead of just getting a stunt guy. And that's something that they do in the remake, which we'll talk about later. Which is ridiculous that they did that. But yeah. That's something, again, that I remember watching it for the first time and being like so confused by that fall down the stairs. And I was just like, why did he fall so clean? Like, because that's a huge staircase, right?
Yeah. No, it's like one of those like, what do they call them? Yeah, no, it was a big staircase.
So then, of course, the detective goes missing because Norman covers up that murder too. And he starts getting real nervous because he's like, oh, you know, like, now both of these people are missing. More people are going to come looking for them, you know, and he gets a sense of that things aren't going too well, you know, and he, of course, he gets rid of the detective's body. And then because he made that he contacted Lila, Marian's sister, she ends up figuring out that something's wrong because now the detective's gone missing, and and then friends of theirs start to try to say like that he's probably found a lead on the money, and he's just trying to, he just kind of ditched out of their agreement, and all these kind of other theories. And then Lila goes with but the love interest of Marion. Was it Sam and Lila? They think that it's really fishy that this detective, had went to the motel, and now all of a sudden he's dropped off the face of the earth. So then they go to investigate themselves, and they get pretty bold. Actually, they check was it room number 1 to see if they can find any kind of evidence that Marion was there. I think they end up finding like a little scrap of paper with some numbers on it.
The piece of paper that she kind of cut up in a million pieces and threw down the toilet.
Yeah, she was like figuring out how much money she still had left or something.
Yeah.
I think they end up finding something like that, and they're like, well, this couldn't be a coincidence. She's got to be here somewhere. So then they hatch this kind of plot. Sam was like, okay, I'll find out where Norman is and distract him while you, Lila, go up to the house to speak to Mother, because they think that his mother is actually alive. So then Lila goes up, sneaks up into the house. She gets into the room, and there's nobody there except for like this weird indentation in the bed.
I always thought that was so weird seeing that.
Yeah.
Like perfect.
So there's the indentation in the bed, and then nothing's. She doesn't find anyone, but I guess it turns out that Norman had kind of tried to be a step ahead of everyone, and he put like his mother essentially in the cellar, which she was not very fond of. If you remember the dialogue that they had going back and forth.
Yeah, she kept on saying like she didn't want to go down to that like musty, dirty fruit cellar.
Yeah, my favorite line when she's like, "You want to stuff me in the fruit cellar, huh? You think I'm fruity, huh?" Oh man. And so Lila ends up in the cellar, and she sees like on the chair the mother like facing away from her. She goes up to the body, swivels it around, and it's the big reveal that it's the corpse of Norman's mom. And then that's a great shot too, because she like hits the big like the ceiling lamp, and it's kind of swinging back and forth, and it creates like this different kind of lighting.
And the body like kind of like slowly turns around.
Yes. Very noir.
Yes.
Noir like, which I love. And then so she hits the lamp. Lila hits the lamp, and then we see Norman dressed in drag, and is essentially going to kill Lila. And Sam has figured out what's going on, and is able to apprehend him before anything happens. And then that's when we cut to the psychiatrist scene, where they explain to us that that Norman has like a split personality disorder.
Yeah. Like that, his mom's personality kind of like took over, and like it's not Norman anymore. It's his mother controlling everything.
Yeah, like just his mother, which is that's a pretty awesome idea.
Yeah.
Let me just